What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I want to discuss whether it's better to focus on one game or have multiple games in your portfolio as an indie game developer. I also want to talk about the benefits of each, as well as what the process looked like when I just started compared to what it looks like now. So the benefit of focusing solely on a single game project is quite obvious. You see, one of the biggest problems as indie game devs is that our resources are limited. So if you can concentrate all your time, effort, and money into a single project, that project is obviously going to be much higher quality and more polished than it would if you spread that over multiple projects. The downside is that success is never guaranteed, and I've seen countless indie game devs spend months, sometimes even years, on projects that ultimately flop. You might be thinking that it's better to release a whole lot of MVP projects, games with limited features that are unpolished, just to release them out into the market, just to see if there is a demand for that particular game. While you may be somewhat right, the problem that I alluded to earlier was that as indie game developers, we have very limited resources. Multiple projects means multiple updates, and that just means that you're going to be juggling multiple projects at the same time. So ultimately those games are going to be very unpolished. They're also going to take up a lot of time, and which for me is one of the most important things. So what do you actually do? What did I do in the beginning, and how does that differ to what I'm doing now? In the beginning, my strategy was quite simple, and that was to release a game as cheaply and as quickly as possible. This led me to buying pre-made templates on the Unity Asset Store and various other marketplaces, and I would give it to my developer and they would make changes and I would release it as fast as possible. I would even create the icon screenshots myself, which were absolutely terrible. The benefit of this was that I was able to release a game on the App Store every few weeks and gather that data and see which games there was actually a market for, which ones players actually were playing the most, and then focus more on those. The downside was that when I did discover which games were working, I would have to go back and spend way more money and time on that particular game. So ultimately, I wasn't saving really any time or money anyway. I was just getting the data a little bit faster. So the approach I use now is kind of mixed in the middle, and I do spend a lot more time and resources on a new release than I did previously, and that's just because I have more resources that I can play around with at the moment. So I can release games that are a little bit more polished, that don't require tremendously big updates further on down the line. So my advice for you guys out there who are new to game development would be to take the MVP approach. Don't spend too much time and money on your first releases, simply because you want to gather that data as quickly as possible and see where the market is, if there is a demand for those types of games. If not, quickly you can move on to the next project and you haven't lost too much time or money. For those of you who are more experienced, that are looking to take your indie game development business to the next level, like myself, you would need to spend a lot more time and resources on each game to get them more polished and of higher quality. Make sure the metrics are good enough to be able to run paid user acquisition, and that's really where you're going to see a huge amount of growth. So yeah, it just depends where you are in your game dev journey, and yeah, both ways work well in the right circumstances. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, you know the drill. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe and peace out.